Half of boarding schools in the country have not adhered to the set guidelines on bed spacing in dormitories, putting students at risk in case of emergencies. In a survey conducted by the non-profit Usawa Agenda, sub-county schools were the most notorious, with congested dormitories with only 2 out of 10 schools having adequate space in the sleeping areas. And as Laura Otieno reports, the Ministry of Education is now proposing to have the recommendations of a 2020 report by the Auditor General adopted as regulations in order to prescribe appropriate penalties when schools fail to adhere to the safety standards.
The Endarasha fire has once again rekindled talk of the safety of learners in schools, with various agencies now circling back to reports issued on the state of schools across the country. A report published in April this year by a non-profit, Usawa Agenda, pointed to the dire situation of how some schools in the country were disasters in waiting, owing to the massive congestion in the dormitories. In an audit on safety of schools in 2020, a recommendation of a minimum spacing of 1.2 meters for beds in the dormitories was floated. Usawa Agency revealing that a meager 40.5% of schools have adhered to the recommendation. Sub-county schools were fingered to be the most notorious, with a paltry 24% having complied to the minimum spacing guideline. County schools, on the other hand, had 74% compliance, with some schools still remaining death traps for students. Additionally, only 7 out of 10 secondary schools had functional firefighting equipment, with the more suppressed number having designated fire assembly points within the school compound. National schools recorded the highest level of compliance at 96%, with 59% of sub-county schools having functional firefighting equipment. Education CS Julius Migos now coming out guns blazing, vowing stern action against school heads who are yet to comply.
Perhaps as a country it has reached that time when we need to relook at those rules and regulations, which are policies, and find out whether it is time for us to move them a step further and make them laws, so that there are penalties that will attach to any person who violates them, because we cannot go on like this as a country.
With figures indicating that almost half of the dorms in schools are a minefield of a disaster waiting to happen, it remains to be seen whether the Ministry of Education will make good its proclamation to rain down on non-compliant schools. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.